Hello, good to be with you today. We're going to talk a little bit about the virtual private network. Simply put, is the number of computers connected to a network. However, the basic idea of a VPN is that it is not a real network such as on the internet. It is a virtual one. The virtual private network extends a private network across a public network and enables users to send and receive data across shared or public networks as if their computing devices were directly connected to the private network. The virtual private network is a technology that is created as a safe and encrypted connection over a less secure network, such as the internet, which I discussed earlier. But the VPN technology was developed as a way to allow remote users and branch offices to securely access corporate applications and other resources. So from point A to point B can be securely done, and it is an effective way to utilize your resources at home from your office.
Great. And there are a couple of ways that you can access the VPN network, a couple protocols, IPsec, as well as the SSL, and we're going to talk about those. IPsec protocol is a framework of open standards that provides data confidentiality, integrity, and authentication for the users. And it also requires installation of a client software on a client machine. It's a little bit harder to use than SSL. SSL is also known as like a clientless VPN or a web VPN, but it's a good protocol. But we'll talk about SSL now for just a second. So the SSL protocol is also a secure protocol that we're all familiar with. It's ubiquitous in all web browsers, so it's a lot easier to use than the IPsec, and it allows you to remote access into your network at work or wherever you need to securely get to, and it's a good protocol for using it. And I'm going to let Jared now talk a little bit more about that.
Thank you. Yeah, in talking about both the IPsec and the SSL VPN protocols, both are really good protocols. Both work well. Both are very robust. We chose to talk about mobile VPN with SSL. This is provided through WatchGuard. WatchGuard is a firewall vendor. They do a very good job at securing networks and connecting into a network. You have those two options, IPsec, using an agent, or you could go agentless, with the SSL. So with that, here's a splash screen showing the Firebox SSL, the mobile VPN client, basically. In order to get to this, in order to install it, all one would have to do is install it on the network, but an end user would have to go to a URL, look at, or type in the IP address or the domain name for where you have that set up. It'll let you authenticate through, download the client and the configuration file in one swoop, and then at that point you get a screen. You click on your icon or whatever you have, and you get your screen to where you can log in. So from a user standpoint, this is very easy to use. You send them to a URL, they download it, and there you go. Whereas with IPsec, you have to download the agent, you have to install the files. If you make a change, then there's more work to be done, across all the users that you have remoting in to your network. So with the Firebox SSL here, the SSL VPN, we would type in our server name, which is an external DNS name for your firewall. It could be the IP address, whatever you want, however you want that set up. Again, it's for ease of use. You type in your network username and password, click connect, and then it goes through the configurations and connects you up into that secure tunnel. Once you're in, we took a screenshot of what that looks like, maybe some of the configurations that you would have. It shows, okay, this is the IP address, this is the public IP address that we're connected to. So this would be our firewall at the edge, that's accepting these VPN requests. It throws us into for your virtual IP, it throws you into its own segregated subnet, so that the traffic is in between networks, to give you access to what you need. It shows the encryption method that we've used. This is how it's been set up. You can use any combination of encryption methods that you want. We've chosen the AES with 256. We've chosen the hash algorithm of SHA-256 for this. Here, for security purposes, we blocked out a couple of things, but it would show you the internal domain name that you have. It also shows you the DNS servers that you have that you're pointing to, and that's an interesting thing. Once you've VPN'd in, it's as if you're on the internal network, and so that's why you need internal network DNS servers, to be able to point to, so that you can type in a computer name and get access to that instead of having to use IP addresses everywhere. A way to increase security would be, as we showed you, I'll go back. This is just, the current setup is just using a username and password. So, two things that if you want further security, you can go to multi-factor, which is, something you are, something you have, something things like that. But the WatchGuard offers two-factor authentication. It allows you to set up a radius server, which is a remote authentication dial-in service, as stated here. That's basically a Microsoft server. It's called a radius server, but it's a Microsoft service that allows you to create that information to set up your two-factor authentication. It gives you to set up the multi-factor authentication. We need a radius server. We need to set up a group. We need to configure within the radius server, the two-factor authentication, and then we go to the firewall, point to the radius server, and pretty much set up your client the way you want it at that point. One of the benefits of two-factor authentication is it allows you to create one more, basically validation. So you punch in your password, your username and password. You would hit connect. It then gives you a challenge. You have to validate who you are, mobile phone or whatever. You click yes, that's who you are, and that's the device that you expected it to go to, and then it pushes everything through. You're authenticated and you're connected through your tunnel. And that is a VPN and how it's set up and some of the purposes. Thank you for watching. We have a kudos for Martin for setting up the slides, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.